It's time for your morning tea. It's time for your morning tea. Today's morning tea is just because you are alone does not mean that you will be lonely. Again, just because you are alone does not mean that you are lonely. For my new viewers and my hard-headed old viewers who have not pressed that button yet, I want you to look to your right-hand side. You see that subscribe button? Tap that for me. And on the right-hand side of that, there's a bell. Tap the bell. Basically, you will receive the notifications as soon as I upload, and you will be able to sip on your tea all day long. Let's get to it. So, just because you are alone does not mean that you will be lonely. Far too often, we associate those two terms together because you're in a state of solitude, you don't have anyone to speak to, or you've pulled away, you've made some distance between you and others. So I want to say, it may have started off that you wanted to take some space for yourself. You needed to put some distance between you and certain people or just the world, right? And in that distance, you didn't know that it would be so, I want to say, quiet. There's not much noise. There's not much drama. There's not much activity going on because it's just you. You are locked away with yourself, with your thoughts, and sometimes you need a break like that. But sometimes that break end up being longer than we expected. So like, there's a young lady I know, and I was speaking to her regarding relationships, right? And she kept on saying, Mika, I think that I might need some time alone. Why do you think this? And I was like, didn't I tell you this a while ago? I told her that she needed to take a break to detox from one relationship to the other because she had never found herself being single since she was 18 years old, and she's like in her mid-20s. So what she did was she jumped from one relationship into the next to get over the previous one. But she never had time to detox. She never had time to breathe. She never had time to herself. Praying because she still needs to detox from a few of those soul ties that she had gotten entangled with. People battle, I want to say, loneliness. When you let one spirit in, you better read your word. When one spirit comes, 7 comes with it. You are dealing with 8 spirits at once. Don't allow loneliness to creep in, because loneliness may creep in and then you may become depressed. You may start experiencing anxiety. You might want to commit suicide. Like I trust and believe, I know these spirits. So try to detox, and I want to say cut soul ties from your relationships, and now you're dealing with these spirits that's coming along. You have too much, that's going to be too much going on. So don't let the spirit of loneliness creep in. Like, you are not alone. You know what? It was a woman that I knew, right? And she was married. And I was telling her, sometimes being single becomes a bit challenging. And that was, during single days. It becomes a bit challenging. And she told me there is nothing worse than being married, sleeping in the bed with someone and feeling lonely. What? You sleep in the bed with your spouse, yet you feel alone. You feel lonely. You feel alienated. You feel like you're in this all by yourself. Yeah, I pray that never comes on me. I rebuke that in the name of Jesus. But she experienced that. So many people experience that you're surrounded by such, I want to say, a huge family, but it feels like you are the only person that's in your circle. You may be an introvert, so you just don't really, you want to be around people when you want to be around people, and then you're okay with being alone. Like, you'll find a way out before you find a way in. Like, you find a quick way of an escape. I get it. So don't let your state of being alone cause you to be lonely. Find yourself something to do. If you need to go sit with the ducks by the pond, do that. If you need to go sit outside and speak to God, do that. If you need to write in your journal, do that. My escapism, I call it my escapism. My escapism is I used to color. I enjoyed coloring in a coloring book. I would light a candle, put on some music, and I would color. Or I would write in my journal. Or I would write a poem. I found ways of not becoming lonely while I was alone, because I'm telling you, like, you'll go crazy. Thoughts start coming into your mind because honestly, when you're alone, you're in a quiet space. I don't care how loud you play your music or you play your television. Trust and believe, I've been there. If I'm telling you about it, it's because I've been through it. I used to be so alone at one point in my life. I think it was in my early 20s. Like, my music was blasting until like 3 o'clock in the morning. Like, the silence became deafening. Have you ever experienced that? Where the silence becomes deafening. Like, if you've never experienced it, let me kind of tell you what's going on. When you're alone, and let's say you have soft music playing, and it's just you don't have any distractions like social media. You're just alone. You're just in that space, right? Guess what happens? You start thinking about any and everything, and one thought leads to another, and another thought leads to another. Next thing you know, you're thinking about something that occurred 10 years ago, and then you start branching it off like, what if? What if this would have happened? What if this would have happened? And then it starts getting loud. Like, they call it a white noise. Like, it becomes a loud white noise inside of your mind. You don't want to do that. You don't want to get to that point. Find you something to do to occupy your time that will basically make you feel comfortable, bring you peace, make you experience or help you experience that peace which surpasses all understanding. Being alone does not mean or signify that you have to be lonely. And that's your team. So as usual, it's been my pleasure. We have one more day of the week, which will be Friday. Oh my God. I am so excited. Why? I don't know. I really don't know. It just the break, I guess. It's a break. Everyone is pretty much happy for a Friday, because Saturday and Sunday, if you have weekends off, at least you get to break and take time for yourself, escape from the world. So it's been my pleasure serving you this tea, and I look forward to serving you again tomorrow.